On this occasion of Sri Krishna Janmashtami, Sri Krishna Janmashtami is the appearance day of the Supreme Lord. It is interesting that in the spiritual world, if there is a festival that does not exist there, it is Janmashtami, because Krishna is not born or doesn't appear in the spiritual world. That pastime, he does it here in Bhaumya Vrindavan. Goloka Vrindavan is what is there in the spiritual world, and what is there here is Bhaumya Vrindavan. So we are now embarking on the special pastimes that Krishna performed here in Bhaumya Vrindavan. Although there is always an overlap between the two, there are many pastimes that are there and here as well. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuba Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all for joining today. Your enthusiasm to hear Krishna Katha encourages me also, wherein then we can share and discuss something about Lord Krishna's pastimes. Srinatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantastuya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagop Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. The more we hear, you see, God is to be realized by hearing, not by seeing. We want to see God. But actually, God is not our order carrier. That you say, God, I want to see you. Then only I will believe. Then that makes him your order carrier. But is he our order carrier? If he is not our order carrier, that means then we should try to see him the way is authorized or bona fide. And what is that way which is authorized and bona fide? It is by hearing. God is to be experienced through the ears. So by hearing about him, then we start developing an understanding about his personality. We start developing an understanding about who he is, what he likes to do, what he does in his free time, what he does, what pastimes does he enact, what loving reciprocation does he have with all his devotees. And that attracts us to him. And that's how we develop our lost relationship with Krishna. So coming back again to Krishna Katha. Till now, we have discussed about the birth of Krishna, the appearance, Kamsa's persecutions, killing of Putana, and then yesterday we discussed about the killing of Shaktasura and Trinavarta. And we also saw how Ma Yashoda, when she asks Krishna to open his mouth, then Krishna opens his mouth and she has darshan of the universal form of the Lord. And then how we also saw how the other gopis are complaining. They're complaining about Krishna's naughtiness to Ma Yashoda. Going ahead, Mother Yashoda once bound Krishna, and that is the very famous Damodar Leela. What is that about? Once upon a time, seeing that her maid servant was engaged in other household affairs, Ma Yashoda personally takes charge of the churning of the butter. While she is churning butter, she is thinking of Krishna, considering him to be her own son. It is like, she's churning, there's a big rod in between in the pot, and then she's churning with the cloth. So her bracelets and even her uh, pile, uh, anklets, they are all making a nice sound. Ching, ching, ching. Like that, they're making a sound. And the rod itself, churning rod itself, in the pot, it makes a grr, grr, that kind of very heavy bass sound. So it looked as if there are kartals, ching, 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 kartal, because of the her anklets and bracelets making that sound. And the heavy bass sound of the mortar of the churning rod, and along with the pot, that was creating the sound like a mridanga, boom, 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 heavy sound. And then she's singing Krishna's glories. It is as if Krishna Kirtan was going on. So, out of intense love for her son, milk was automatically dripping from her breasts, and she was churning very hard with two hands. Now, Ma Yashoda is perspiring also. She's working hard. And the flower garland on her head scattered here and there. And before this picturesque sight, Krishna appears as a child. Because Krishna, what happened? He was sleeping inside. And then when he comes out, he's hungry. He wants to be breastfed. So then, in order to increase his mother's love, he goes to near the churning rod and pot and stands there. He wants to stop her churning and indicate that her first business was to let him suck her breast. And then after that, she can churn the butter. So Ma Yashoda takes her son on her lap, and then she allows him to feed. While Krishna was suckling the milk and smiling, she was enjoying the beauty of her child. Now, suddenly the milk on the stove began to boil over, and just to stop the milk from spilling, Ma Yashoda at once puts Krishna aside and goes to the stove. Now, why does she do that? Because Ma Yashoda knows that Krishna is not going to be satisfied by her milk alone. So she needs to prepare milk for him. And that milk was also special milk because Nand Baba had 9 lakh cows. So from 9 lakh cows, the cows were chosen, the best cows, and especially from these cows, 8 of them, their milk was fed to the ninth cow. This ninth cow was also fed special grass, Padma Gandha grass, which has the smell of a lotus flower. So this ninth cow, that milk that came out, that was being given to Krishna. That milk had the fragrance of lotuses. Imagine milk having fragrance. So this milk was being fed to Krishna. Now that milk was boiling on the stove, which is what Ma Yashoda went to close. So what happens is that there's a reason why the milk was also boiling. In the spiritual world, everything has life, even milk has life. The milk was thinking, Krishna is suckling the breast of Ma Yashoda, he's drinking milk, soon he's going to be satiated. And there is nothing for me to do. My service will not be required. Better I commit suicide. So then the milk, therefore, was boiling over so as to enter into the fire. So it is mentioned in this way that in the spiritual world, everything has life, even milk has life. Srila Prabhupada explains that in the spiritual world, it is so nice that even food articles, that also has life. So many times, my Yashoda, when she puts rice to cook, so then she doesn't have to go and check every time. When we want to check whether rice is cooked or not, what do? We take one grain of rice and then we crush it between the fingers to understand whether it is cooked or not. So my Yashoda doesn't have to do this. She puts the rice for cooking and she goes out and she's doing some other work. And from outside, maybe in the courtyard, then she gives a loud shout saying, "Rice, are you ready?" And rice will reply, "Yes, I'm ready." And then she'll come and she's done. So this kind of experiences happen in the spiritual world. So coming back, so Ma Yashoda goes to close that stove on which the milk is boiling over. So Krishna becomes very angry. He His lips and eyes become red in rage, and he bites his lip with his teeth. Taking a piece of stone, he immediately breaks the butter pot. Krishna doesn't break the butter from pot from top. When the pot is full, then a slight crack from below is enough and doesn't make even sound. So then Krishna goes and taking the pot and hitting it just below where it is heavy. He breaks it, and then everywhere is half churned butter. He takes the butter out of it. He, with false tears in his eyes, he is beginning to eat this butter. And then he also knows Ma Yashoda is going to come. So then he quickly goes in the inside room. Meanwhile, Ma Yashoda returns to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order. She sees the broken pot in which the churning yogurt has been kept. And since she could not find Krishna, she concluded that this broken pot was his work. And she smiled as she thought that this child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place fearing punishment. So after she sought all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar which was kept upside down. He was taking butter from the pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding that butter to the monkeys. So she saw Krishna looking this way and that he was in fear because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing that her son so angry, she very silently approaches him from behind. Krishna, however, sees Ma Yashoda coming towards him from behind in the eye of the mouse, in the eye of the monkey. That Ma Yashoda is coming from behind, he sees. And then what does he do? He jumps from the grinding mortar. He stabilizes himself and begins to run. Ma Yashoda chases him behind with a jeweled stick in her hand, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is not even approached by the expert meditation of yogis who do so for thousands of years. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never caught or approached by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a little child for a great devotee as Ma Yashoda. Ma Yashoda, however, cannot catch that fast-running child because of her heavy body. Still, she tries to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosens and the flowers in her hair fall to the ground. Actually, it is mentioned that even the flowers in her hair were thinking that Ma Yashoda is so great that, our position does not belong on her head. She is chastising Krishna with a stick in her hand. Who gets the good fortune to do this? So, Ma Yashoda, she deserves the highest respect. And therefore, our position is not at her head but at her feet. Thinking like this, the hair on Ma Yashoda's, the flowers on Ma Yashoda's hair, they jump. So she's running behind Krishna. Then how to catch him? She tells Krishna, "Hey Kana, look, how Bilav has come, how Bilav." Just like, when mothers, they want their children to go to sleep or, to act in a certain way, they say, "Ye aakar kha jayega." He'll come and eat you up, or he'll come and take you, he'll kidnap you, like that. In the same way, Ma Yashoda had this fictional personality called How Bilav. So How Bilav was her way of disciplining Krishna. So she said, "How Bilav is coming, how Bilav," and then she was afraid. So what happened is Krishna also was looking behind at Ma Yashoda, and Krishna becomes afraid, and he is running, and he stops. And then he starts running in Ma Yashoda's direction, and then Ma Yashoda catches him. In this way, Krishna gets caught. And then Ma Yashoda, who has caught Krishna, she is saying, "I'm not going to let you go now, I'm going to tie you up." So Krishna is having tears in his eyes and was very much afraid. And she wanted to remove his fears. She said, She thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to him. So Mother Yashoda throws away her stick. And then, in order to punish him, she thinks that I'll bind his hands with some ropes. She does not know the power of her child, or the fact that it is impossible to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not possible to bind. But then she's the mother, she knows that she has to discipline her child. So then she calls the servant for the ropes in the house. Bring the ropes in the house. So, Ma Yashoda is taking the motor and then trying to bind Krishna with the ropes in the house around. Now she tries to tie, and then she sees that the rope was short, 2 inches too short. It was the length of 2 fingers too short. So she gathers more rope from the house and adds to it. But again, surprisingly, the rope becomes 2 inches too short. So then she collects all the ropes available, even from the neighbors. And the final knot was added. She saw that the rope was again 2 fingers too short. Ma Yashoda was smiling, but she's astonished as to how is this happening. She calls for all the ropes from Vrindavan, or from all the other her gopi friends' houses. In an attempt to bind her son, she becomes tired. She is perspiring, and the garland on her head falls down. Then Lord Krishna is appreciating the hard labor of his mother. Because nobody can actually tie up Krishna. So what happens is that because Krishna is Swarat, he is independent. So how can one tie him up at their own will? So now Ma Yashoda, who is trying so hard, then all the ropes of Vrindavan come. And then there is also a little rope that little Radhika has also given. With that rope, finally Krishna gets tied. Before that, there is some really nice pastime that happens. When Krishna is tied, when Krishna is, yes, Radhika's rope is actually what Ma Yashoda is able to tie Krishna with. Meanwhile, Krishna saw that Ma Yashoda was perspiring, and Ma Yashoda's perspiration, the perspiration drops fall on Krishna. Her sweat falls on Krishna. And then he sees Ma Yashoda is trying so hard, so let me be merciful to her. Because he saw that Ma Yashoda was tired now. And then he became merciful to her. So Krishna's Kripa Shakti is more powerful than all his other potencies. His Jnana Shakti, Aishwarya Shakti, all of this on one side, and his potency of mercy, Kripa Shakti, that overcomes everything. So his Kripa Shakti, it overcame everything else, and miraculously he was tied. And then Ma Yashoda tells him, now you will learn your lesson like this. Remain tied, so you will understand. Now, what happened is that Balaram reaches there. Balaram tells Krishna, who did this to you? Who is the one who dared to do this, such a thing of tying you up? Tell me, who is that person? And Krishna says, this is Ma Yashoda. Balaram says, oh, I will go and tell her. I will go and speak to her that she cannot tie you up. So then Balaram goes inside the house and he tells Ma Yashoda, why have you tied up Krishna? Don't you know who he is? And Ma Yashoda says, who is Krishna? Who is he? So Balaram replies, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Param Brahma. He is Param Dhama. He is the source of Rama. He is the source of Varaha, Narsimha. All of these avatars emanate from his body. He is the cause of all causes. And Ma Yashoda says, and who are you? If Krishna is all of these, Ram, Varaha, Narsimha, who are you? He says, I am Ananta. I am Shesha. I am Lakshman. And Ma Yashoda, she says, all the incarnations had to come in my house only. And then she takes the stick and goes behind Balaram and says that you get out of here, otherwise I'll tie you up also. So Balaram moves out of the house, he runs away, goes to Krishna and says, see, many times I told you, don't do so much of mischief, but you don't listen to me. Now you see, you have to go through this. He also began crying. Then Balaram goes away. Krishna is left alone. His friends are playing away. He's left alone. Now Krishna is bound. So what happens now is that he feels how it feels to be bound. He's able to experience that. And now his eyes fall upon two Yamala Arjuna trees, two twin Yamala Arjuna trees that are in the courtyard, Nand Maharaj's courtyard. If we still go to Vrindavan in Gokul, you will find that these trees are still there. Not the trees, the whole place is there where Damodar Leela happened. But the spot where they were there, it's still there. So Krishna's eyes fall on them. And then there is a backstory. So it is basically Narad Muni who had cursed these two sons of Kuvera, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, to become trees and be liberated by Krishna. So here now this is Krishna who is bound. It is amazing to see that how Lord Krishna is subordinate. He puts himself in a subordinate position just to please his mother Yashoda. For his devotee, Krishna can take any subordinate position, he doesn't mind. Actually, bhakti is so powerful that it controls Krishna also. The Supreme Lord, who is the controller of all controllers. See, in this world, there are many people who want to control. We all try in our own small way to control our situation, but we all fail at it. And everyone has a controller. There was a man who wanted to serve the greatest. So first he goes to, when he goes around, he sees that there is a big office, big company. So he goes to the owner of that company and says, I want to serve the greater person. So he says, I am a great person, the company owners, you can serve here. So then he serves. But after a while, he sees that there is a problem. And then the company owner also has to bow down before some government authorities. So then he goes to those government authorities. He says, I want to serve the greatest person. So I saw the company owner bowing down before you because of some rules and regulations that you have put. So you're greater than him. So let me serve you. So then the man starts serving those government employees. And then it happens that then there is an order that comes from the central government. So then he goes to the central government. There he figures out that there is a themselves will never die. Such foolish people forget that laws of nature are truth, and there is going to be a day of reckoning. So then there are people who, they are so proud and thus they engage in enviousness, jealousy towards others. And then they want to kill other animals also. So this is extremely something very bad, if you want to give pain to another living entity. So then what happens is that Narada thought that it was his duty to put these demigods into a condition where they would not be falsely proud of their material opulence and prestige. Now, in today's day, even within India, India is a developing economy, and certainly, people have much more money now than they had a couple of years ago. And people, as they become rich, then they are also getting intoxicated and developing bad habits. This should stop. Our culture should be primarily protected somehow or other. And it is up to all of us to do so. So now, coming back, Narada thought that it was his duty to put these demigods into a condition where they would not be falsely proud of their material opulence and prestige. Narada was very compassionate. He wanted to save them from their fallen life. They were in the mode of darkness and they were unable to control their senses. They were addicted to sex life. It is the duty of a saintly person like Narada to save them from this condition. Kubera was the treasurer of the demigods. He was a very responsible man, and Nala Kubera Manigreva were two of his sons. They became so animalistic and irresponsible that they could not understand, due to intoxication, that they were naked. To cover the lower part of the body is a principle of human civilization. And when men or women forget this principle, they become no better than animals. Narada thought, therefore, that the best punishment for them was to make them non-moving entities or trees. Trees by nature are non-moving. So, although trees are covered by a mode of ignorance, they cannot do any harm. Narada thought that although these brothers would be punished to become trees, by his mercy, they would continue to keep their memory, and thus they would be able to remember why they were being punished. Generally, after changing a body, a living entity forgets his previous life. In special cases, by the grace of the Lord, as in Nalakovara and Manigriva, one can remember. Sage Narada therefore contemplated that these two demigods should remain for 100 years, and in the time of the demigods, in the form of trees, so that after that they would be fortunate to see the Supreme Personality face to face by His causeless mercy. Then they would be promoted again to the life of demigods, and there they would become great devotees of the Lord. So after this, the great sage Narada, he returns to his abode known as Narayana Ashram. The two demigods, they turned into trees known as twin Yamal Arjuna trees. The two demigods, they were thus favored by the causeless mercy of Narada, and they were given a chance to grow in Nand Maharaj's courtyard, and thus they were able to see Lord Krishna face to face. So now, although Lord Krishna was bound to the mortar, he began to proceed towards the twin Arjuna trees to fulfill the prophecy of his great devotee, Narad Muni. Lord Krishna knew that Narada was his great devotee, and that these trees standing before him were actually the sons of Kuvera. So Krishna thinks, I must now fulfill the words of my great devotee Narada. And then he proceeded through the passage between the two trees. Although he was able to pass through the passage, the large wooden mortar, it stuck horizontally between the trees. The mortar is behind, it got stuck between the two trees. Taking advantage of this, with great strength, Lord Krishna began to pull the rope, which was tied to the mortar. So as soon as he pulled, the two trees, with all their branches and limbs, fell down immediately with a great sound. Third, out of the broken, fallen trees came out two great personalities, shining like bright fire, blazing fire. All the sides became illuminated and beautified by their presence. These two purified personalities immediately came before Krishna, and then they are offering their obeisances, and the follow in words they are offering their prayers. That, my dear Lord, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. You are the master of mystic powers. Your name is Yogeshwara. All the learned brahmanas know that the cosmic manifestation is an expansion of your potencies, which are sometimes manifest and unmanifest. And you create the three modes of material nature, uh, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Everyone is under the jurisdiction of the material modes, but nobody then can thus understand your transcendental qualities. You are the supreme Brahman, your Lord Vasudev. We offer our obeisances unto your lotus feet. And you in this material world, you assume various incarnations, and you are not a part of this material creation. and you are benefiting everyone. Please, may our hands and limbs be engaged in your service and minds be concentrated always at your lotus feet. And our heads always bow down at the all pervading universal form of your Lordship. So when Nalakubar and Manigriva finished their prayers, Krishna, he is bound to the wooden mortar by the ropes of Yashoda. He smiled and he said, I know that my great devotee Narad Muni had shown his causeless mercy by saving you from the abominable condition of pride due to possessing extraordinary beauty and opulence in the family of demigods. He has saved you from gliding down into the lowest condition of hellish life. All these facts are already known to me. You are very fortunate because not only were you cursed by him, but you had the great opportunity to see him. If someone is able by chance to see face to face a saintly person like Narada, who is always serene and merciful to everyone, then immediately that conditioned soul becomes liberated. This is exactly like being situated in the full light of the sun. There cannot be any visionary impediment. Therefore, Nalakuvar and Manikriva, your lives have now become successful because you have developed ecstatic love for me. This is your last birth within material existence. Now you go back to your father's residence in the heavenly planets, and by remaining in an attitude of devotional service, you will be liberated in this very life. After this, the demigods, they circumambulate the Lord many times, and then they bowed down before him again and again, and then they left. And the Lord is still bound up with ropes to the grinding mortar. So when these two Arjuna trees fall to the ground, they made such a huge sound like thunderbolt. And all the inhabitants of Gokul, including Nand Maharaj, immediately they come to that spot. They are very much astonished to see how that these two great trees had suddenly fallen. And because they could not find any reason for their falling down, they were puzzled. And when they saw Lord small Krishna bound up to the wooden mortar by the ropes of Yashoda, they thought it must have been caused by some demon. Otherwise, how was it possible? At the same time, they were very much perturbed because such incidents were always happening to Krishna. So while they were thus contemplating, the small children who were playing there informed the men that the trees had fallen because Krishna had pulled the wooden mortar with the rope binding him. They said Krishna came in between the two trees, and the wooden mortar was topsy-turvied and stuck in between the trees. Krishna pulled the rope and the trees fell down. When the trees fell down, two very dazzling men came out of the trees and they said something to Krishna. Most of the coward men, they did not believe the statement of these children. They could not believe that something like this could ever happen. Some of the men, however, believed them and told Nand Maharaj that your child is different from all other children. He may have just done it. Nand Maharaj smiled to hear about the extraordinary abilities of his son. He came forward and untied the knot to see this wonderful child. After being freed by Nand Maharaj, Krishna was taken unto the laps of the other elder gopis. They took him away to the courtyard and began to clap. They are praising his wonderful activities. Krishna is dancing along with their clapping just like an ordinary child. And the Supreme Lord, thus being controlled by the gopis, sang and danced just like a puppet in their hands. It's very interesting that that Mother Yashoda, she binds Krishna under Vatsalya Ras. And the Sakhya Ras, that the friends like Balaram and other friends of Krishna who were equal to him, when they tried to open the rope, they were not able to, because that rope was bound by the love of Vatsalya Ras. Only Nand Maharaj could open it, because Nand Maharaj was also in Vatsalya Ras. So he was superior to those in Sakhya Ras, and thus he was able to remove the binding. Sometimes Mother Yashoda used to ask Krishna to bring her a plank for sitting. Although the wooden plank was too heavy to be carried by the child, somehow or others Krishna used to bring it to his mother. Sometimes his father also, while worshipping Narayan, would ask Krishna to bring his wooden slippers. And Krishna, with great difficulty, would put on the slippers on his head and bring them to the father. Every time he was asked to lift some heavy article and was unable to lift it, he would simply move his arms. In this way, daily, every moment, he was the reservoir of pleasure for his parents. And he was exhibiting such childish dealings with the inhabitants of Vrindavan because he wanted to show that how the great philosophers and sages were searching after the absolute truth. and how, actually speaking, the Supreme Lord is controlled and subject to by the desires of his pure devotees. Likewise, one day there was a fruit vendor who came before the house of Nand Maharaj. Upon hearing the vendor call, if anyone wants fruit, please come and take them from me. Immediately, small Krishna takes some grains in his palms and went to get fruits in exchange. In those days, there was barter system of exchange. So Krishna may have seen his parents acquiring fruits and other things by bartering grain. So then he also imitated. But his palms were very small and he was not very careful to hold the grains tight. So he was dropping them. The vendor who came to sell fruit saw this and very much was captivated by the beauty of the Lord. So immediately she accepted whatever few grains were left in his palms and filled his hands with fruits. In the meantime, the vendor saw that the whole basket of fruit had become filled with jewels. The Lord is such a bestower of all benedictions that if someone gives something to the Lord, he's not the loser, he is the gainer by a million times. So, this is how it is that if somebody gives something to Krishna, he only leaves to gain. So, therefore, we should not be afraid of surrendering to Krishna because you get multiplied by so many times because you have given to the Supreme Lord. Actually, it is our duty to give it to Him because everything belongs to Him only. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincham jagatam jagat tena tyaktena punjita ma grida kasyasvidharam. Everything animate and inanimate belongs to the Supreme Lord, and everyone must accept happily what is there in his quota, knowing very well to whom everything belongs to. Actually, this spiritual communism is the way in which we can have peace and prosperity in this world. When all of us accept the fact that Krishna is the controller, He is the Supreme Lord, and we are all His children, then it becomes very easy because then we are just in one family. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The earth is one big family. So when we look at things in that manner, then you can avoid so many problems, so many difficulties, so many fights that go on all the time just for calling something ours. Whereas actually everything does belong to the Supreme Lord. So one day, Lord Krishna, he was playing with Balaram and the other children on the bank of the Yamuna, and it is already late in the morning. Rohini went to call them back, but Balaram and Krishna were engrossed so much in playing that they did not wish to go back, and they were still playing more and more. When Rohini was unable to take back home, she went home and asked Mother Yashoda to go and call them. So then again, Maha Yashoda was so affectionate that as soon as she used to come to call him, her breast used to fill up with milk, and she loudly cried, Krishna, come back. Your time for lunch is already past. Please come, I'll give you milk. You've played enough. You must be very hungry and tired. And she said that, my dear Ram, please come back with your younger brother Krishna immediately. Since morning you are playing. Now you must be tired. Come back and take your lunch. Father Nandaraj is waiting for you. He has to eat. So come back so that he can eat. As soon as Krishna and Balaram heard Nand Maharaj was waiting for them and he could not take his food in their absence, they started to return. Their playmates complained, Krishna is leaving at the point where our playing is at the summit. Next time we shall not allow him to leave. His playmates then threatened not to allow him to play with them again. Playmate said, Krishna, we will not allow you to play. Krishna became afraid and instead of going back home, he went to play back again with the boys. At that time, Maya Yashoda scolded the children and told Krishna, my dear Krishna, do you think that you are a street boy? You have no home? Come back to your home. I see that your body has become very dirty by playing since morning. Come home and take your bath. Besides, today is your birthday ceremony. Therefore, you should come back home and give cows in charity to the Brahmanas. Don't you see how your playmates are decorated with ornaments by their mothers? You should also be cleansed and decorated with nice dress and ornaments. Please, therefore, come back, take your bath, dress yourself nicely, and again you may go on playing. In this way, Mother Yashoda called back Lord Krishna and Balaram, who are worshipable by great demigods like Lord Balaram and Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. When Mother Yashoda's children came home, she bathed them and very nicely dressed them. Then she called for the Brahmanas. And through her children, she gave many cows in charity for the occasion of Krishna's birthday. In this way, she performed the birthday ceremony of Krishna at home. After this incident, all the elder cowherd men, they assembled together and Nand Maharaj was there. He was presiding over this meeting. They were consulting among themselves as to how to stop the great disturbances in Mahavan, Gokul Mahavan, on account of the demons. And in this meeting, Upananda, the brother of Nanda Maharaj, was present. He was considered to be learned and experienced, and he was a well-wisher of Krishna and Balaram. He was a leader, and he addressed the meeting also. He said, "My dear friends, now we should leave here for another place because we are continuously finding that great demons here are coming to disturb the peaceful situation, and they are especially attempting to kill the small children. Just consider Putana and Krishna. It was simply by the grace of Lord Hari that Krishna was saved, and the demon fell down on and Krishna was saved from the hands of such a great demon. Then after that, the whirlwind demon took away Krishna into the sky, but somehow or other, by the grace of Hari, uh, the demon fell down on a stone slab and died. Very recently, this child was playing between two trees, and the trees fell down violently, and yet there was no injury to the child. Lord Hari saved him again. Just imagine the calamity if this child or any other child playing with him were crushed by the falling of the trees then. So, considering all these incidents, we must conclude that this place is no longer safe. Let us leave. We all have been saved from different calamities by the grace of Lord Hari. Now we should be cautious, leave this place and reside somewhere where we can live peacefully. I think we should all go to the forest known as Vrindavan, where there are now just newly grown plants and herbs. It's very suitable for pasturing ground and for our cows, and we and our families, the gopis with the children, can live very peacefully there. Next to Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, which is very beautiful, and there are newly grown grass and fodder for the animals. So there is no difficulty in living there. So I suggest let's go there. So hearing the statement of Upananda, all of the cowherd men immediately agreed. So from there, everyone, they loaded up their carts and prepared to go to Vrindavan. So then that's where they shift from Gokul, they go to Vrindavan. And then later on, Krishna and Balaram, then they grow. When they grow sufficiently, they are given charge of the calves. So that is cowherd boys. That's from the very beginning, they are given charge of the calves and they are thus trained. So Krishna and Balaram go to the pasturing ground, take charge of the calves, and they played with their playmates also. And they played on their flutes. They played different kinds of games. One day when Krishna and Balaram were playing on the bank of the Yamuna, a demon named Vatsasura assumed the shape of a calf and came there intending to kill the two brothers. By taking the shape of the calf, the demon was able to mingle with other calves as well. Krishna noticed this, immediately alerted Balaram about the entrance of this demon. Both brothers then silently approached him. Krishna caught hold of the demon calf by the two hind legs and tail, whipped him around very forcibly and threw him up onto a tree. The demon loses his life, falls down from the top of the tree to the ground. When the demon lay dead on the ground, all the playmates of Krishna congratulated him. Well done, well done. And the demigods in the sky showered flowers with great satisfaction. In this way, the maintenance of the complete creation, Krishna and Balaram, used to take care of the calves every day, beginning with the morning, and thus they enjoyed their childhood pastimes as cowherd boys in Vrindavan. One day, they went to the bank of the river, Krishna, Balaram, and all their friends, to water their calves. When the calves drank water from the Yamuna, the boys also drank. After drinking, they were sitting on the bank of the river. They saw a huge animal which looked something like a heron and was as big as a tree, as big as a hill, and its top was as strong as a thunderbolt. So when they saw that such an unusual animal, they became afraid of it. The name of this demon was Bakasura, and he was a friend of Kamsa's. He appeared on the scene immediately, attacked Krishna with his pointed, sharp beak, and quickly swallowed him up. When Krishna was thus swallowed, all the boys, headed by Balaram, became almost breathless, as if they had died. But when Bakasura was swallowing up Krishna, he felt a burning, fiery sensation in his throat. This was the glowing effulgence of Krishna. The demon quickly threw Krishna up and tried to kill him by pinching him in his beak. Bakasura did not know that although Krishna was playing the part of a child of Nand Maharaj, he was still the original father of Lord Brahma. So what he does, he takes, when Krishna is out, he catches hold of the great gigantic heron by the two halves of his beak, and before his coward boyfriend bifurcates his mouth, just as a child easily splits a blade of grass. And thus from the sky, then the demigods, they shot flowers like Malika flowers as a token of their congratulations. The boys became struck with wonder when they heard music playing, and then they saw the showering of flowers. And they were very happy when they saw Krishna was freed from the great demon Bakasura. Everyone, including Balaram, was so pleased. It seemed as they had regained their very source of life. When the boys return home, they spoke very wonderfully to their parents about the activities of Nand Kumar. When all the gopis and coward men heard this story, they felt great happiness because naturally they loved Krishna. And by hearing about his glories and victorious activities, they became more affectionate unto him. Thus, thinking Krishna had again been saved from the mouth of death, they looked upon his face with great love and affection. And then they began to converse among themselves that how wonderful it was that Krishna had been attacked in so many ways, so many demons, and yet the demons themselves had been killed and Krishna had remained uninjured. And somehow or other, by the grace of Hari, they had not been able to cause even a slight injury to Krishna, and they had all died like flies in a fire. They remembered the words of Garga Muni, who had said that this boy would be attacked by demons. Now they were seeing that this was coming true, word for word. And then, it was all the coward men, when they used to talk about the wonderful activities of Krishna and Balaram, and they were always absorbed in so much of talks, they would forget the miseries of this material existence. Actually, this is the effect of Krishna Katha and Krishna consciousness. What was enjoyed 5,000 years ago by Nand Maharaj, that can still be enjoyed by Krishna conscious person simply by talking about the transcendental pastimes of Krishna and his associates. Thus, Krishna and Balaram, they thus enjoy their childhood pastimes, imitating Lord Ramchandra's monkeys, who constructed the bridge over the ocean, and Hanuman, who jumped over the water to Sri Lanka. Thus, they used to imitate such pastimes among their friends, and thus happily they passed their childhood life. Thus, today we discussed about all the special pastimes of Krishna, including the deliverance of the Yamala Arjuna trees and the killing of Vatsasura and Bakasura. Tomorrow we shall be discussing about the killing of Aghasura demon and Brahma Vimohan Leela. Tomorrow is the last day of this Krishna Katha series, so we would certainly recommend that all of you come and join us tomorrow. So we can take some questions. If you have any, please write in the chat box. Okay, so one question is, in daily life, when should we break the rules for a greater joy or purpose, and when should we strictly follow them? In daily life, when do we break rules for a greater joy or purpose? Well, it's very simple. Morality and transcendental morality. When we have to please Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure, for our spiritual advancement, you can break certain rules. And that is dharma. That is dharma. So always there is a dharma sankat or a conflict wherein we have to break certain rules for some higher ones. So the highest is Savay Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje. So Paro Dharmo is what? Highest dharma is bhakti. For bhakti is basically the rule. So that's what we want to follow. Is the goal. So for that, whatever we need to do, that's okay. But of course, one should not become complacent and break rules and become immoral in the name of bhakti. Therefore, you always need an authority or a guide who can tell you that this is okay. Question. जब कृष्णा इतने स्वीट है, then why can I cannot get attached to Krishna? And his name precisely Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Actually, we are attached. If you did not have any attraction towards Krishna, then why would you be hearing about him? So there is sweetness, and we have some attraction to him. Yes, attachment to Krishna is awarded. It is awarded by those who have it. So devotees can award you attachment because they have it, and divine feelings of love that Krishna himself gives on the practitioner who really wants it. So the answer is that there is a way to get attached to Krishna, and that is called greed. The greed to become attached to him and the greed to get taste for his chanting, for the chanting of his holy names. That is what the solution for getting attached to Krishna. Asakti or attachment to Krishna comes when we want it. So first we must desire. How does desire manifest? Desire means in our prayers we mention it. So you please pray and cry out to Krishna like this, that I have no attraction for you. Please help me. Okay, there's another question. So in life, Do love and patience work better than punishment when correcting someone's mistakes? When the parents chastise the child, that is also out of love. So, love, there is tough love also, and sometimes that is necessary. So, it doesn't mean that in the name of love we don't chastise, that's necessary. So, it is in fact mentioned. They say that if you invest 10 times, 10 times you praise, then one time you can correct. So in that way, we can correct those who are our dependents, or if we are in charge of some children, or those who are junior, because there has to be emotional investment, and then there can be correction or guidance. But of course, feedback should always be given sensitively, because it is a sensitive matter. Yes. So, any other questions you can type in the chat box. Okay, so today, since there are no more questions, we shall end. Thank you all for joining in today's session of Krishna Katha, and we shall resume again. Tomorrow is the last day, so we shall resume tomorrow again at 7:30. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल।